Welcome to Karma Chronicles. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin. The wedding invite showed up on a random Tuesday. I remember because I'd just gotten back from a job in Arizona, and the mailbox was stuffed full of junk and bills. Then there it was, this thick, cream-colored envelope, the kind with gold trim and a wax seal like it was 1890, or some royal family nonsense. It smelled like perfume, expensive, cloying, like Denise's taste in everything. My name was written in her handwriting, tight, slanted, perfect like a teacher's. No note, no smiley face, just Miss Rebecca Calloway, like I was some damn stranger. I already knew who it was from, but I opened it anyway. Tessa and Jordan request the honor of your presence. Blah, blah, blah. Reception in Saratoga Springs, Labor Day weekend. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going, and where are you joining from? Here's what got me. On the RSVP card, the family guest list had names printed on it. Mine wasn't under family, no +1, just Rebecca Calloway, confirm or decline. Like I was a maybe. Like they weren't even sure I'd get the damn thing. I hadn't spoken to Tessa in almost 10 years. Not since the fight. Not since I left. I should have tossed the invite. Should have burned it. But a week later, I was back behind the wheel, headed north through Pennsylvania into upstate New York, gripping the steering wheel so hard my hands hurt. It was about a 6-hour drive, long enough to second-guess yourself a few hundred times. I rolled into town late afternoon. That part of New York always looked stuck in time. Victorian houses with peeling shutters, too many antique stores, not enough real people. I passed the old high school, the car wash, the gas station where I used to buy gum just to get out of the house. And then I pulled up to the house, our house, the one Dad worked 2 jobs to build, and Denise had turned into a museum. It looked the same, too clean, like nobody really lived there. The lawn was clipped to death, the porch furniture untouched, like she thought better homes and gardens might swing by any minute. I rang the bell. She answered like I was Amazon. "Oh, you came." Her mouth smiled. Her eyes didn't. She didn't hug me, just stepped back and said, "You'll be in the storage closet downstairs. The guest room's full with real family." I didn't say a word, just picked up my bag and followed her inside. The closet she stuck me in had no windows, one outlet, and a plastic folding cot like I was back in basic. I dumped my bag, didn't even sit down. Just went upstairs to get some air, maybe see what circus she'd built around Tessa's big day. The kitchen looked like a wedding planner threw up in it, white lilies everywhere, tiered trays of cookies wrapped in cellophane, a chalkboard sign that said, "Love is sweet," like Pinterest had personally blessed the damn thing. The dining room was worse, fancy gold chairs, place settings like it was a royal banquet, candle holders, matching linens, menu cards. It didn't feel like a family home anymore. It felt staged, scripted. There were photo boards leaned up against the wall, Tessa's whole life on display. Ballet recitals, prom pictures, college graduation, the time she opened her design studio in Boston. I scanned them for even one picture with me in it, not a single one. In the corner, propped up against a stack of wedding favors, was a printed seating chart. Rehearsal dinner, family and close friends. I ran my finger down the list. There I was, Rebecca Calloway, but someone had taken a red Sharpie and drawn a thick line through it. Right underneath, they'd scribbled in a new name. Lauren Fields, family friend. I stood there, staring at it for a full minute. No warning, no explanation, just erased like I'd never been part of this family. "Dinner in 30, Denise called from the hallway, like nothing was off. I didn't say a word. I just walked to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and stared in the mirror. Part of me wanted to get in the car and drive straight back to DC. But another part, the one that got me through overseas checkpoints with a fake name and no backup, that part was wide awake now. By the time I sat down at the dinner table, the room was buzzing with champagne and flattery. Jordan's people had money. They dressed like they wanted you to know it. Rolexes, designer shoes, voices that carried. "Oh, Tessa," someone crooned, "this setup is gorgeous. You really are in the right field." "She's got the eye," Denise said, clinking her glass. "She's always been talented, a real visionary." Everyone nodded like bobbleheads. I was across the table, quiet, fork in hand, wearing the same black slacks I'd worn on the drive up. A woman in a teal wrap dress leaned toward me. "So, what do you do?" I kept my answer short. "Security consulting." She tilted her head like I'd spoken Swahili. "Oh, so like Parking lots and ticketing? Meter-maid stuff? A few people chuckled. I didn't flinch. Number more like threat assessments and protocol design. That shut her up, but only for a second. Denise cut in before I could say more. She's always been private about her little jobs. Doesn't stay in one place too long. She gave me a once-over. Maybe next time you pack something that doesn't look like it came from the clearance rack. Someone snorted into their wine. I put my fork down. I wasn't hungry anymore. Tessa smiled across the table like she didn't hear a thing. Jordan had his arm around her chair, nodding along as his dad told some story about real estate investments in Boca. I sat there, watching them all like I was behind one-way glass. When dessert came, I got up without a word and walked out the back door. Let them talk. Let them laugh. I didn't need dessert. I needed air. I kept walking past the garden, through the yard, and straight to my car. Didn't even grab a coat. Drove with the windows down and my jaw locked. I didn't want to scream. I just needed quiet. The cemetery wasn't far. 5, maybe 6 turns from the house. Same one where we buried Dad the summer after I started my first real contract gig. He never got to see me in uniform. Never saw me walk into a classified site with nothing but a badge and a codebook. But he knew. Before the stroke hit, he told me, "Keep your head down, Beck. They'll come for the loud ones first." I parked near the edge, gravel crunching under my tires, and walked the rest. Section C, row 5, third stone from the left. Still remembered like I'd been there yesterday. His grave was clean but cracked at the base. Hairline fracture right through the concrete, like everything he left behind. Worn, split, holding together just barely. I crouched down, ran my fingers along the name. Edward Calloway. Husband, father, no mention of his military service. Denise had left that part off, said it was too aggressive for the tone. Figures. "Hey, Dad," I muttered. Guess who made the cut? Wind picked up, cold enough to make my hands sting. I stayed there anyway, crouched in the silence, just breathing, just letting the garbage from that dinner fall off me. Then I heard footsteps. Gravel again. Slower this time. Someone walking, not parking. I stood up quick. "Didn't mean to sneak up," a voice said. I turned. Jordan. Same blazer from dinner, top button undone, hands in his pockets like he wasn't sure what to do with them. "Didn't expect company," I said flat. "Figured you might be here," he said, shrugging once. "I saw you leave. You looked done." I nodded, didn't speak. He took a few steps closer, then stopped beside the headstone, looked down at it for a second before saying, "You handled it well, at dinner." I gave a short laugh. "Did I? Better than I would have. That joke about your job? Way out of line." I narrowed my eyes. "You didn't seem all that surprised by what they said." He looked at me then, sharp and clear. I wasn't. Something tightened in my chest. "I remember now," he said. "Kandahar. The pipeline perimeter breach. You ran the fallback drill when the main comms failed. I was the site liaison." My stomach dropped. I stared at him. "No one else recognized me," I said slowly. "I did. Took me a day to place it. You look different." He paused. "Stronger." We stood there, silent, the wind cutting sideways through the trees. "You never reported me back then," he added. "You were green," I said, "and scared. So was I. But you held your ground." He gave a tight nod. "I owe you." I shook my head. "You don't. Well, if you ever need someone to confirm who you are, what you've done, I'll speak up." I let the offer hang for a beat, felt the weight of it. "Not yet," I said. He nodded like he understood. And maybe he did. "I should head back," he said. "Go ahead. I'm staying a little longer." He hesitated like he wanted to say something else, but then just turned and walked off. I watched him go. Then I sat down next to the cracked stone, pulled my jacket tighter, and let my silence stretch into the dark. I came back from the cemetery just before noon. The kitchen smelled like ham and store-bought potato salad, which meant Denise was hosting again. I walked in, and sure enough, the table was set for another one of her close family lunches. Same faces from dinner. Tessa, Jordan, a couple aunts I hadn't seen since high school. Jordan's mom, James, the stepdad, was halfway into a beer before I even sat down. No one said hi. They just shifted to make room. Denise raised her glass. "To family, to legacy, and to Tessa, who's made us all proud." I didn't lift mine, just sipped water. As the ham got passed around, Denise launched into one of her monologues. When Ed passed, I had to do everything. No support, no help. Just me and this house and a daughter to raise. She dabbed her mouth, pausing for drama. And look how she turned out. A designer, a homeowner, a bride. Someone clapped lightly. Tessa's always had drive, Jordan's mom added. You did a beautiful job, Denise. Oh, it was never easy, Denise sighed. Especially with Rebecca off doing whatever it is she does. Security something? She waved her fork like she couldn't care less. She's been off-grid so long, I half expect her to show up in a trailer with a dog and no license plate. Laughter broke out, loud, cruel. Do you even have a house? Someone snorted from the end of the table. I didn't look to see who. I hadn't touched my plate. Denise reached for the rolls, all casual. I mean, we all choose different paths. Some of us chase spotlights. Others stay in the shadows. She glanced at me like she was waiting for a reaction. But let's be honest. People remember stars, not shadows. I laid my fork down, slow. Denise, I said, loud enough to cut the noise. You don't know a thing about my path. The table went quiet. Tessa looked down. Jordan froze mid-bite. For 20 years, I've stayed out of your way. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't bring you problems. You want to sit here and act like that's something to mock? I leaned in. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in my work. Denise laughed, light and fake. Work? Please. I stood up. My chair scraped hard against the tile. I'm not angry, I said. I'm done. Done with what? She asked, smirking like she still held the cards. Pretending this is a family. I walked out, left the food, the noise, the cheap praise. I didn't slam the door. I didn't raise my voice. I just walked. Every step out of that house felt cleaner than the last. I didn't go back to the house. I kept walking until I hit the old diner off Route 9. Same booth, same flickering light overhead. I slid into the corner seat and ordered coffee just to keep the waitress from hovering. 15 minutes later, Rachel walked in. Aviators, ponytail, the same steel posture she always had when we worked internal ops. Semi-retired now, whatever that means. She spotted me and grinned like we hadn't just skipped 5 years of updates. Still allergic to drama? She asked, dropping her bag onto the booth seat. Thought I was, I muttered. Turns out I'm just allergic to them. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a tiny square wrapped in bubble wrap, smaller than a Tic Tac box. This still legal? I asked. She shrugged. Depends what you do with it. I turned it over in my hand. Sleek, simple. Battery switch and a tiny mic hole. Looked like a keychain charm. You plant this under the table during brunch, Rachel said. Start at 5 minutes in, it'll record 4 hours. That's all you need. I hesitated. Not because I didn't know how, because once I hit record, there was no coming back. She must have seen it in my face. You've kept your mouth shut out of principle, she said. They've used that silence as a blank check, and they've been loud. Real loud, I didn't answer. Rachel leaned forward. What do you think they'd say about you if you didn't catch it this time? What would they tell Jordan's family? Their friends? Tessa's clients? They already erased me, I said. Feels late to stop it. No, she said flat. It's right on time. You're not blowing anything up. You're documenting a pattern. I stared down at the device in my palm. You really think I need this? I think it's about time they hear themselves. With proof, she slid a napkin across the table. On it, she'd drawn a layout of the brunch tables. This is where you'll sit. This is where the mic goes. Tape it under the center crossbar. I nodded once. The plan locked into place in my head like muscle memory. We don't confront, she added. Not yet. We collect. Then we decide. I pocketed the device. Timing? I asked. They'll seat everyone at 11. Drop it at 10:50. Play polite until noon. Then get out. I'll be parked in the lot behind the florist. Black SUV. You sure you want in on this? I asked. Rachel smirked. You gave me 5 years of cover while I was cleaning up other people's messes. I owe you. That shut me up. We stood. She dropped some cash on the table and walked out first. I waited 3 minutes, then followed. Rachel's SUV smelled like leather and menthols. She had the recorder already plugged into a laptop, speaker volume halfway, screen dimmed. Hit it, she said. I didn't say a word, just clicked play. It started normal. Silverware clinking, glasses being moved, the sound of someone talking about mimosas. Then Denise's voice came in, clear as hell. She's always lurking. She doesn't belong here, Tessa responded, her voice tight but cocky. I only invited her because Jordan thought it'd be awkward if I didn't. Rachel raised an eyebrow. She doesn't have a real job, Tessa went on. It's all made up. I heard she got fired from some overseas mess. She didn't get fired, Denise snapped. She was removed. There's a difference. Rachel looked at me. I didn't flinch. Then came James, voice flat and bored. She's been a problem since day one, always off trying to prove something. Your father babied her. That's why she turned out the way she did. I stared at the screen. My jaw locked so tight my molars hurt. More plates clinking, more laughs. Then Denise said it. Either way, the house is mine now. Doesn't matter what Ed wrote. Rebecca's not going to challenge anything. She probably doesn't even remember it's in her name. Rachel slammed the pause button. Back up, she said. I rewound 10 seconds. We played it again. The house is mine now. Doesn't matter what Ed wrote. Rebecca's not going to challenge anything. She probably doesn't even remember it's in her name. Rachel leaned back hard, both palms on her thighs. Holy hell, she muttered. That's fraud. Straight up. If your name's on the title and she's been living there and trying to sell it, she is, I said. I saw the listing 2 months ago. I thought it was a mistake. Rachel opened a second folder on her laptop. Do you have access to your dad's will? I've got scanned copies, on an old drive. I pulled out my bag, dug through the side pocket, and yanked out the battered USB I hadn't used in years. She plugged it in. Within seconds, we had it. Last page, signature. Property to be transferred to Rebecca Calloway upon death of Edward Calloway. Rachel whistled. They've been living in your house, on your land, throwing parties with your lights on? I didn't answer. I was already opening my contacts. My thumb hovered over one name, Mark Adler, former in-house legal from a joint task contract in Eastern Europe. Clean, sharp, knew how to shut down quiet threats loud. I hit call. He picked up after 2 rings. Beck? He said, half surprised. Everything okay? I need verification, I said. Property, will, and a deep dive into my file. Denise Calloway's been misrepresenting it. I want everything above board. He didn't ask questions. Send me what you have. I'll pull the rest from archives. I hung up and turned back to Rachel. Get ready, I said. We're about to rip the hinges off this thing. Mark texted me an hour later. Come now, alone. I didn't waste time. He worked out of an old office building in Albany now. Top floor, glass doors, no receptionist. Just a keypad and a buzzer. Same setup he used back when we were working Black Zone logistics overseas. If you didn't belong, you weren't getting in. He opened the door himself. Still wore those same wire-frame glasses and button-downs with rolled sleeves. Everything about him said, I don't smile unless it's billable. We shook hands, no small talk. Follow me, he said. We walked down a quiet hall lined with filing cabinets and server backups humming like a beehive. He led me into a small room with a desk, 2 chairs, and a printer that looked newer than the walls. Mark sat, pulled up a secure portal on his laptop, and opened a folder labeled RCALLOWAY, verified. Your father's will, full copy, he said, sliding 1 page across. Clean, filed, never amended. Title legally transferred to you within 30 days of his death. Denise never notified the state of occupancy transfer. I scanned the page. My name was there in bold. Deed ID matched what I had on my flash drive. She's been squatting on your property for almost 10 years, collecting equity, listing it. That's civil and potentially criminal. Depends how far you want to go. Keep going, I said. He opened the next tab, the security clearance file. Top of the first page, level 3, lead strategist, active, confidential. Beneath that were my credentials, contracts, site deployments, field commendations. 10 years of my life laid out in black and white. Your file was sealed under the National Contractor Protocol, Mark explained, but you're still verified and in good standing. These are not easy commendations to come by. He handed me a printed copy of the first 6 pages. There's enough here, he said, to bury every lie they've told about you and build a career on it if you wanted to. Most people in your shoes would already be speaking at conferences. That's never been me. No, he nodded. But the facts don't change just because you keep them quiet. I flipped to the last page. A name was circled at the bottom, Jordan Whitaker. What's this? Background check inquiry. He requested verification through an interagency liaison. Last year. My stomach dropped. So he knew. He knew enough to suspect you weren't who they made you out to be. I stared down at the file. All the things they pretended didn't exist. Right here in front of me, stamped, filed, untouchable. Mark leaned back, arms crossed. You don't need their approval, Rebecca. You already outrank their stories. I folded the packet, tucked it into my jacket. Print another, I said. I need a clean copy for someone else. I pulled up to the venue with the folder under my arm and my spine straight. It was a converted estate outside Saratoga. White columns, trimmed hedges, all that moneyed crap Denise liked to pretend she earned. The rehearsal was in the back courtyard. I followed the signs, ignored the valet, and headed straight for the side gate. That's where they stopped me. Name? The girl asked, headset tilted, clipboard in hand. Rebecca Calloway. She flipped through the list twice. Sorry, you're not on the guest list for today's rehearsal. I didn't move. You sure? Very. I let out a slow breath and said, You might want to double-check with the bride's mother. She gave me the customer service smile and stepped inside. Less than a minute later, Denise came out through the archway like she'd been rehearsing her expression all morning. Oh, she said with a fake gasp, Rebecca, you're here. I didn't blink. IRSP'd. Got the invite, remember? She glanced at the clipboard girl and smiled. There must have been a miscommunication. The rehearsal is for the wedding party and family guests. You mean the ones you didn't cross out in red marker? Her eyes narrowed for a second, then softened right back. Too smooth. We just didn't want to complicate the photo timeline, she said. You're not really part of the picture. Then came Tessa, floating out behind her in a white floral dress like she was auditioning for a perfume commercial. Aw, she said, tilting her head. You wore black to a garden rehearsal? That's so fitting. I didn't say anything. She smirked. It's okay, Becca. I'll RSVP to your wedding someday. If you ever manage to land someone respectable. Denise chuckled. Clipboard girl looked uncomfortable. I turned and walked away. No one followed. But I wasn't walking off empty. I had the sealed folder in my jacket, I had the recording, and I had one last card to play. Back at Rachel's, she was already at her desk when I walked in. I handed her the folder. She didn't need to read it, just glance at the letterhead and nodded once. I placed the audio file and scanned documents on the flash drive. She dragged the final PDF over, a backup of the title transfer and will. This everything? She asked. Everything that matters. We opened a burner email and logged into a press submission portal, small but credible, built for leaks. Anonymous source, verified evidence, no trace back. I typed the subject line, Inheritance Fraud and Professional Defamation. Saratoga, Family Wedding Cover-Up. Rachel looked at me. Ready? I leaned in. Send it. She clicked. Simple as that. Flash drive still in her hand, she turned to me. You want a copy for the DJ? I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. Yeah, I said, one for the DJ. The morning of the wedding, I got dressed slow. Everything about the uniform was crisp. Pressed slacks, double-stitched blazer, silver nameplate on the left, clearance badge clipped to my belt, black low-shine boots, no makeup, hair back tight, nothing soft. I parked 2 blocks from the venue, didn't want them to see me coming. The place was already packed, guests milling around in pastel suits and floral dresses, all smiles and champagne. A live string quartet played near the fountain. I walked straight through the front gate, ignoring the valet again. When I stepped into the courtyard, the music faltered. One of the violinists actually stopped bowing mid-note. Tessa froze by the rose arch. Denise's wine glass tilted in her hand. She didn't drop it. She just stared like she'd seen a ghost in combat boots. I didn't stop walking. Didn't speak. My badge caught the sunlight as I passed the first row of chairs. I made it halfway to the aisle before Jordan stepped forward from the altar, hands at his sides. He looked at me, then stood at attention and gave me a formal, full salute. Every head turned. This woman, Jordan said, voice loud, steady, saved 5 lives in the middle of an overseas security breach 3 years ago, including mine. Gasps, murmurs. He pointed at my badge. She ran threat logistics for high-risk zones in 6 countries. She wasn't fired. She was promoted, quietly, and heavily. I didn't say a word. I turned toward the DJ booth and handed over the flash drive. Play track 1, I said. He looked confused. Now? I nodded. Now. He plugged it in and hit play. At first, just silence. Then came Denise's voice. Loud, clear, cruel. She doesn't belong here. She got removed from some overseas mess. She's not gonna challenge anything. She probably doesn't even remember it's in her name. The room went dead still. Gasps cut through the air like glass shattering. Some guests turned toward Denise, others just stared, mouths open. Then the screen behind the altar lit up. Rachel had sent the backup feed. Photos. Me on site with field teams in Jakarta. Evac drills in Cairo. Medical supply drops in Yemen. Me in uniform shaking hands with military liaisons. One photo showed me escorting civilians out of a compound under siege. The crowd started clapping. Jordan's mother stood. Applauded first. Then others joined. Tessa looked like she might pass out. Her lipstick was perfect. Her foundation couldn't hide the panic. Denise tried to speak. This is fake. This is not. The audio kept going. She's always been a problem. She lives in a trailer. She's nothing. Denise reached for the DJ's laptop. He blocked her hand. It's still playing, he said. Step back. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just turned, walked down the center aisle, and left them with the truth still echoing through their perfect garden ceremony. I wasn't victorious. I was visible. By the time I got back to my apartment in DC, the story had already cracked open. Small blogs picked it up first. Wedding scandal, forged property, career sabotage. Then it spread. A few defense forums linked my credentials to past ops. The audio clip played over and over in quiet corners of the internet. No clickbait, just facts. Denise got dropped from her charity board by the end of the week. Statement full of spin and fake regret. Tessa's design firm didn't release anything, but two of her partners removed her name from the website and quietly changed the brand. Damage control without the apology. I didn't give interviews, didn't post, didn't share a thing. I stayed still. The new place was nothing fancy. Small condo near the edge of town, 1 bedroom, no HOA. Quiet. That's what I wanted. For once, I had space that was mine and only mine. No ghosts. No knives in the tablecloth. One night, late, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Tessa. No makeup, puffy eyes, hoodie and jeans, not a speck of designer in sight. She didn't say hi, just, I'm sorry. I let her talk. I was scared. I didn't know how to fight her. I thought if I stayed close to her, she wouldn't turn on me. I nodded once. You weren't weak, I said. You just forgot what strength looks like? She didn't cry. She just stood there, nodding like she understood too late. We didn't hug. She left after 10 minutes. 2 days later, I got an email from a group I used to support under an alias. They'd tracked down my service donation through an old contact and sent me photos. Rows of children with fresh bandages, smiling nurses, a surgical tent with my name printed on the supply crates. I sat on the couch holding my laptop, and for the first time in a decade, I cried. Not out of pain, not even from relief. It was confirmation. I still mattered. Quiet didn't mean erased. And the truth? It stayed louder than them.